Hi everyone. So we learned a bit about HTTP requests and query strings. And so today we're going to actually learn how our server is going to interpret those requests and how we can write code to respond to them. So we're actually going to see some real um, interaction with the server from the client side. So here I've got just a typical HTML page setup. It's running here, you can see it. And so what we're going to do is talk about our good friend $_get, which is what's known as a super global, meaning that it's accessible anywhere. So if we open up some PHP, I'll just echo $_get. We're not going to see anything too impressive, and let's do that actually, the form of tag too, so it looks nice. Put that like this. We're going to do everything in the form of embedding inside some PHP. So if we run this, we're going to get an array. Great, super helpful. But that's what $_get is, and that's why we did some of that stuff in with arrays earlier. Specifically, $_get is an associative array, and what it does is it gathers all of the URL parameters or query string parameters, as you might hear it sometimes, in the URL into this array. And so what does that mean? Well, let's talk about query strings for a bit. So like I talked about in the last video, query strings can be added as some information at the end of stuff, at the end of a URL. So you start off a query string with a question mark, and it's really easy. You just have basically some pairs of information. So if I have name, that's the name of the parameter, equals, and then I can give that a value. And if I want to add another query parameter, I can just separate it with an ampersand. So ampersand, and let's say title equals instructor. Cool. So just by doing this, we won't get anything new, but $get is actually going to have some information in it now. And because it's gathered those query parameters. So if we take $get and add some brackets, it's an associative parameter. So these are the keys that will be in it. And if we pass in name, save that, refresh it, you'll see that it passed my name in there. That's great, awesome. If I put in h3, title is save, and we'll get that information too. So what's happening is this request is being sent to our web server, and PHP is processing it, and with the $get, it is able to gather those parameters into an array, and we can then use that information. As you can imagine, we can get way more complex than that. We could do all kinds of stuff with that information, but we're keeping it at a basic level. One thing to note, like we always talk about, is that once the document is done running, none of this is there anymore. So remember, PHP processes this file, and by the end of it, all that's left is our standard HTML. You won't see any question mark brackets. You don't see PHP $gets. All that stuff is processed, and all that's sent to the browser is a standard HTML file. So that's the end of the first video, and I'll see you in the next.